What's up, YouTube? I got this package in today from Indiana Knives. I'm going to go ahead and open it up with the Native 5 Salt from Spyderco. This is the Magna Cut version. And let's see here. I guess I'll just cut the end of this box off. Yep. A little package here from Indiana Knives. They've included a sticker for me. All right, what we've got is the Lil Native Wharncliffe. Okay. So this is a relatively small knife. Can still flick it open. And it has a Wharncliffe blade profile. It has a finger choil that's partially taking up part of the blade and partially taking up part of the handle space. And remarkably, I can get a 4-finger grip on this tiny little knife. Flick open, flick closed. Yeah, flicks well. This is an S30V. And it's the Wharncliffe version of the standard Lil Native. I don't have just a completely plain Jane Lil Native, but I've got the Knifejoy exclusive Lil Native, which is the same blade shape as the standard Lil Native, although typically it's in S35, or sorry, S30, whereas this one is in S45 VN blade steel with a pink handle. This was an exclusive for Knifejoy. And I've got a Blade Joker exclusive Lil Native in Crewwear. But these have the standard blade shape. So Wharncliffe blades have a straight edge, and then they drop pretty much the entire length of the blade. And we get some kind of classic examples of a Wharncliffe blade profile in things like Kershaw Leak. Okay. Although even this would be considered modified because the blade is not completely flat, the edge is not completely straight. It does raise a little bit. We have a little bit of belly, tiny hint of belly on the Kershaw Leak. Spyderco has made a number of knives in the Wharncliffe profile. In fact, if you look at some of their classic designs like the Delica, that could be called a modified Wharncliffe, right? It does have belly, so it's not truly a Wharncliffe, but it's dropping, or clipped pretty much from the apex of the spine all the way to the tip. There's a little bit of a different angle of drop at the very end there. See, it kind of rounds over slightly. So it's not truly a Wharncliffe, and in fact, Spyderco has come out with a true Wharncliffe variation of the Delica, which is a different blade profile. Spyderco, of course, makes other Wharncliffe blades like this swayback, or the Yojimbo 2, right, which are more true Wharncliffes, flat edge, straight edge. The Yojimbo 2 has a little extra sauce going on here with the spine, but we'll still call it a Wharncliffe. Wharncliffes are great for draw cuts or for cuts on surfaces, right? They can be good for whittling, certain whittling tasks, right? And their weakness is that the tip can be pretty delicate. Although this one doesn't look quite as delicate as something like the Kershaw Leek, which gets quite delicate there at the tip. In fact, this one has a tiny bit of the tip broken off. Just a tiny, tiny bit. That is a common issue with Wharncliffe blades. So the very tippy tip is a weak spot. Now, it's not a weak spot as long as you're cutting into materials that the blade is harder than, and if you're not using it to pry at all, if you're just using it to slice, you should be able to get a good long life out of a Wharncliffe blade without damaging it. You just have to be mindful that, while no blade is designed for prying, a Wharncliffe blade is especially ill-suited to prying. So any of that kind of lateral motion is likely to end up in a snapped blade or at least a broken tip. But I like the Lil Native. It is it's a surprisingly ergonomic knife for such a small blade. You really do get pretty much a full, you can pretty much gorilla grip this thing and still have some usable blade there, and not be in danger of cutting your hand. It's got this is a finger choil, but it's not the kind of finger choil that just backs right up to a sharpened edge. So you can use this with confidence. And sometimes little tiny blades are a little hard to flick because they don't have mass, so they don't sort of develop a lot of inertia once you overcome that detent. But this one's fine, and it's on just washers, but it's tuned really well, pretty much perfectly centered. Wire pocket clip, folded over, so it's relatively deep carry, but not truly deep carry. And it's a perfect little fifth pocket knife. Spyderco makes a lot of excellent tiny knives. I don't have a Dragonfly handy to show you, but maybe I will grab one, add a little extra segment to the very end of this video, so that you can see it compared to a Dragonfly, which is Spyderco's classic design that's in that diminutive size. And through the magic of editing, I'm back just to show you some size comparisons with small knives. Spyderco makes, of course, some very small knives, like the Man Bug here, or the even smaller Ladybug, which are really kind of keychain knives. And these, you can get almost a 3-finger grip. I can get almost a 3-finger grip on it, so it's usable, but it's pretty fiddly. It's more of a novelty item than a user. Even with this excellent K390 steel, it's not a knife that you could really put into much hard use. Spyderco also makes some other diminutive fifth pocket knives that are pretty great, like the Cricket, right, which has a finger choil there, 50-50 finger choil, and you can get 3-finger grip on it. It's a little fiddly, but considering how tiny this thing is and how thin it is, it's a lot of knife for the package. And then the Dragonfly, here's a stainless steel one, This is a little bit of an older model. And here's a more recent model. And this one I think is an S30V. Yeah, so same steel as this little Native. Drop point. Okay. And this you can get 4 fingers on it, but that 4th finger is sort of on a different plane. But yeah, it's pretty usable. And this is a design that's been around for a while. The Little Native is about the same overall size, a little bit bigger, right? And it allows us to get really truly 4-finger grip on there instead of sort of a 4-finger grip. Let's look at the spine. Okay, so the Dragonfly is swedged, whereas the Little Native is a full flat grind with no swedge. So it's going to look quite a bit more substantial, but it's going to be pretty efficient. I think this is a home run. I think this is a really, really good knife. Could be an excellent box cutter with that Wharncliffe profile and the full flat grind. A lot of utility in that small blade. And won't take up really any real estate in your pocket. All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more knife content. And I will see you all soon.